Reds podcast. Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Straz.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast. I'm Roger, that's Ricky. This is the time of the week that we have a special guest, a guy that we got on that's a new addition to the Reds family, the new voice of your Daytona Tortugas for 2026, Mr. Matthew Mounsey. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you guys. This is awesome. I really appreciate it. I've loved all the feedback from the Reds faithful. It's such a great fan base and something that I haven't necessarily been accustomed to, but I've been all over Reds Twitter, the last few weeks, and it's been awesome. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you joining us and answering our questions. We will get to that. We want to also February is a great time to join the Reds. I don't know if you heard, but Eugenio Suarez is back with the Reds. So everybody on Reds Twitter is at least a little bit more positive than they were probably, when that Kyle Schwarber thing happened. But thank you again for joining us. We're going to run through some questions. Our usual first question that we do for every guest is, what is your first baseball memory or your favorite baseball memory?
Wow. Okay. First baseball memory. I think I might go a little deep into the bag here. Some baseball fans might not necessarily get this reference, but it's actually my screensaver. I'll show this to you guys really quick and see if you guys can see who that is. Do you guys recognize who that is?
Is that David Justice?
So that is Raul Ibanez.
Oh, okay.
And Raul Ibanez is my all-time favorite baseball player, and I kind of credit him to getting me into being a diehard baseball guy. I don't really know what it was. I grew up in Seattle being a Mariners fan, and he was a good Mariner, not the greatest, but we've had some dark days. But I got to meet him when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and was just the nicest guy, the coolest guy you could ever imagine. And from then on, I've just been diehard baseball. But I think my favorite baseball memory is a college baseball memory. I sort of turned into a massive college baseball fan. I went to TCU, graduated last year, but started with the baseball program pretty much right when I got there. And we had my freshman year, we went to a regional against Texas A&M in College Station. And if you're not a college baseball fan, it was kind of a tumultuous time. Jim Schlossnagle, longtime TCU head coach, 20 years, had just left, taken the A&M job. And this was his first year there. And we got sent there for a regional. We ended up losing the regional championship to them, but in front of 12,000, 13,000 packed out College Station, only thing in town. And I think that's just my favorite baseball memory because it just kind of showed the passion around baseball, and you don't get to see that a lot of places. I know Cincinnati definitely has it, but that was definitely a special time for me.
Yeah, TCU, home of Nick Lodolo.
Oh, yeah.
Reds legend Nick Lodolo, that's right.
And Red Rocket, not an NFL podcast, but what's his name? Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton.
Yeah. Shout out Andy Dalton for that.
Yeah, my brother was a big TCU fan back when they had Andy Dalton and that little run they had with the football team in the Rose Bowl. Was it against Wisconsin, I think it was?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Trevon Boykin was after that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, wow. Man.
That's crazy. Yeah, we talked a little bit before the show about your Seattle fandom. Do you have any favorite memories of the Mariners? Or, congratulations to your Seahawks for winning the Super Bowl. So shout out to them.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a good couple weeks for me and my football world. Very proud of the Hawks. Mariners don't have any rings, so it's only my second ring for any of my teams. I feel like a good amount of fans have more than that, but I think my favorite Mariner memories are when we were bad, honestly, just because I would get to go to so many games every year for $10 and there's nobody there. And I just kind of loved it, getting to sit in an empty ballpark and watch baseball. It's a lot more fun. I went to every home playoff game last year except for game 5 of the DS. So I went to 1 and 2 of the DS, went to 3, 4, and 5 against the Blue Jays in Seattle. And those are the coolest baseball games I've ever been to by far. Yeah, I've had to wait so long now that once I kind of got that fulfillment, those are easily the best Mariner memories for me.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys are right there as well. I know the Blue Jays were, a formidable foe, but that was a magical run. We were pulling for it. We interviewed like a writer that writes about the Seattle Mariners a couple months ago, and we're talking about that and the Cal Raleigh stuff and his magical run as a catcher, man. It's stuff that, was like Johnny Bench-esque.
Should have been MVP.
Yeah, that's our stance as well here on the show, is that he got robbed for MVP.
I'm with you guys. Did you guys see like the geographical breakdown of the votes?
No, I didn't see that.
I feel like they lean East Coast.
Well, there's so many more East Coast voters.
Yeah.
But I think he might have lost by like 3 or 4 votes total. There's only, 30 votes or whatever. He pretty much swept the West Coast. He got like 7 out of 8 on the West Coast. And then East Coast was like slightly Judge, maybe like +2 or +3. And then you go to like the Southwest, Texas, both to Judge. But besides that, like the AL West writers or whoever the representatives are gave it to him. But there was a little bias in there I didn't like. Anyway, move on.
East Coast bias, man. You can't shake it sometimes.
It's real.
Well, they're not up. They first pitched at 10 o'clock.
It's a good point.
They're not watching him.
It's rough when you have to go to work at 4 a.m. and you gotta stay up till about midnight just to watch the final pitch. You mentioned Raul Ibanez. Was there any other players that you really watched, like you really idolized growing up? And did you play as a youth? And if so, who did you kind of model your game after?
So yeah, I was a catcher all growing up, and I definitely think that kind of contributes to like why I wanted to sort of get into the broadcasting angle. I don't know. Maybe I think it's kind of the catcher baseball IQ. I'm a baseball nerd for sure. I mean, besides Raul, there's kind of like a couple Mariner deep pulls. Mike Zunino was one of my guys. He was a first rounder that was all hyped up. He didn't necessarily pan out, but actually the current Mariners manager, Dan Wilson, was my mom's favorite player growing up. And so I had kind of always seen him, but overall my favorite catcher guy that I would always kind of watch was Yachty. I was a Yachty guy and a Buster Posey guy when he was young, but he didn't really have the longevity of Yachty. I kind of, as a kid, I was the guy that could really catch and couldn't really hit. And so I was watching Yachty. I was like, all right, well, if I can't hit, I got to be the best guy on defense. And so I would not up to par with his defense by any means, but I tried to pull some things here and there,
That's fair. Yeah. Yachty, not necessarily the most Cincinnati friendly ball player of all time, but yeah, he's one up there for definitely defense and
one of the greatest of this generation anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and then I was a bullpen catcher my about the first year and a half I was at TCU. So that freshman year that I talked about, I was in the bullpen for that. I was getting hounded.
Really?
That whole year. Oh, there's some good baseball fans in the Big 12. I'll give them credit.
Fair.
Yeah, this college baseball environment's so cool. I forget which school that does it, but the ball 5, and then they go ball. They keep going.
That's
like
A&M.
That's electric.
Yeah, so they do that, and then after every run they score, they have bubble guns, like they're fans, and they blow bubbles. And you would think it's not that crazy, but then the whole stadium's filled with bubbles.
That's awesome.
And it's wild.
Does it delay the game? Like they have to clear it out? Like smoke?
No, they don't care. Just screw it. Let it go.
Just keep going. Yeah,
we need to get to a couple college baseball games.
Yeah. I thought A&M was just like the midnight yell stuff for the football team, but sounds like they're just as passionate for baseball.
Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday. So we have Bethune-Cookman plays at Jackie Robinson Ballpark, the Tortugas Park. And so they were playing there last night, and no shame to Bethune-Cookman, but maybe 50 fans in the place. They were playing FIU. It's a midweek. It's that they don't really get a draw, but they're also by far the best team in the SWAC. They won it last year. They're going to win it again this year. And then they're going to draw like a 4 seed and have to go to LSU on a Friday night of a regional and play in front of 15,000. Like after playing in front of 50 at home all year. That's the type of stuff that's nuts.
Yeah, Jonathan Harmon kind of talked about that when he was on with us. He played at Northwestern State in Louisiana. Said they had like 300 or 400 people, and then when he got promoted to Dayton for High A, he said it was like 7,000. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Dayton, with was it Day Air Park?
Slightly.
A lot of fans show up to those games. It's electric, and he was just ranting and raving about how awesome it was.
That's great. I know they've had a long time broadcaster there. Is that who you were talking about?
Jonathan Harmon's a pitcher for him, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But they're also known in Dayton for having like a sellout record that they think for like 17 plus seasons and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy. Right. It's a small city just north of Cincinnati, but they love their Dragons over there. So I think there's a bit of a culture shock when guys get promoted from Daytona up to Dayton and whatnot for that. So, but
I'm sure it's a big change of scenery.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I live pretty close to Dayton, so it's kind of like my kind of hometown team. I'm like 25, 30 minutes from there, so it's really nice to go there and see all the fans and whatnot. So,
Tom Nichols is their broadcaster. Yeah, he's been there I think 25 years or so. He's been like the whole time, I think.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah.
Hopefully get to meet him at some point.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah. I want to say you're already working there in Daytona. Like, are you meeting everybody that works inside the building there and like, your coworkers and whatnot?
Yeah. So it's been great. I mean, we've kind of hit the ground running here over the last few weeks. And for those that might not be familiar with what we've got going on here in Daytona, we're on hopefully what is the tail end of about $40 million worth of renovations to Jackie Robinson Ballpark. And so there's a new, beyond the right field fence, there used to just be like, there was a couple tennis courts back there. The courthouse is out there, but there is a new player development complex out there. There's going to be home and away, clubhouses, weight room, all you can think of for player necessities on the bottom floor. And then up top, we're going to have our brand new front offices, which are going to be incredible. And then we'll have 2 gigantic hospitality suites areas. So we're supposed to move into those new offices on March 2nd. So getting pretty close to that. Very excited for that change of scenery, but there are still a lot of ongoing renovations at the ballpark. The third base side is a little bit behind schedule. We're still sort of ramping up on that, hoping to have that ready ASAP. But yeah, I've gotten kind of thrown into the fire, but everyone's working so hard right now because we have these renovations. There's so many moving parts, but it's such a great organization, and can't say enough good things about the people that I've met in the last 8 or I guess 10 days since I started work. It's been great, and I'm really happy to be a part of the crew.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. But we'll transition back more to you, talking about you. We found that you do a podcast called The Sports Section, and you host it with Sam Hoiberg and Nick Kresnak. Personal, a little bit about me. I actually grew up in the Chicagoland area as a Bulls fan, and actually watched Fred Hoiberg play for the Bulls, Sam's dad, and also coach for the Bulls. So and now he's out there in Nebraska coaching his son, Sam, which is kind of awesome, just in a little full circle moment of that. But the question is, how did that podcast come about? How did you meet these 2 guys, and what talk about your podcast?
Yeah, so this is a great story, honestly. I've known Sam since, I guess, about 5 years ago. So a lot of people don't know this. Sam, who is the starting point guard at Nebraska, he's had an unreal year for a top 10 team. Congrats to the Huskers. I've become a big Nebraska basketball fan. But Sam has an identical twin brother named Charlie. And I lived with Charlie at TCU for the last few years. He was my roommate, fraternity brother, one of my best friends in the world. And so Charlie is now a grad assistant for his dad at Nebraska. So kind of a full circle thing for them, which has been really cool. So me and Sam have been good friends for a couple years now. And he actually wants to go into broadcasting after he's done playing. I think he's going to give it a little bit of a pro run. I think he's looking to play in the summer league this year. Looks like he's going to have a roster spot, might go overseas. But when he's done, he wants to get into broadcasting, do color commentary. And my comp for him has been the Jake Butt of the Big Ten Network on college football, the old Michigan tight end.
Yeah.
Where they just kind of put him right in after he stopped playing. I think that's going to be your next Sam Hoiberg. He does a great job on the mic. And once I kind of found out that he wanted to do broadcasting, I was like, you just want to kind of start recording stuff, get your feet wet, get on the mic. And it's been great so far. We haven't recorded an episode in about 2 weeks because I've been moving here. It's been my fault, not his, even though he's the busy one. But yeah, Sam's the man. And then Krez, our other guy, Nick Kresnak, he is a TCU guy, one of my buddies from college, and he actually played college baseball at Washington before transferring to TCU. So former athlete, kind of that connection. But yeah, we've had a fun time with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, and you guys just talk whatever's going on in Sam's world and Nick's world. Like what's the podcast topics of the day, like stuff like that.
Pretty much all college basketball right now. I mean, I'm the kind of sicko, like I'm watching every sport 24/7. Like I'm up all night watching the late night games. I love being on the East Coast now because I've got like 11 p.m. tip-offs, and it's great because I'll be up watching it anyway. But yeah, mostly college basketball right now, and having his name and notoriety definitely helps. Kind of, and that Nebraska fan base is pretty cool. They've been fun to interact with.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, are you one of them guys that are like heavily invested in like curling and stuff on the Olympics?
So I was talking to one of the guys in our front office about this today. For whatever reason, I just haven't been on the Olympics as much this year. I really think it's just because I don't have the notifications turned on, like on my ESPN app for them. And that's really where I get like all my information, because I have every single notification on there and I just get spammed all day. I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm up to date. But I've been very, very tuned into hockey. Hockey's content's been great. Good win today for the fellas against Sweden. But I really hope we get to see Canada in the gold medal game. But other than that, I haven't really been that invested in the Olympics. But it's been such a good college basketball season that I've been big on hoops recently.
For sure.
And kind of talking about college a little bit here. It says in your LinkedIn profile you're an NIL expert. What does that entail? And then was this a job that you had in college?
So that's a little, I wouldn't say BS, but it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say I'm a current NIL expert. I took an NIL class in college as an elective, and it was a fun class, learned a lot. But there was like a certification that came with it. And so anytime you get a certification or award, you got to throw it up on the LinkedIn.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. So as of now, I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily an NIL expert, but maybe at one time I had a little bit more knowledge, but that's where that comes from. Just kind of a class that I got a certification in, but it's still current. So
and to be fair,
it's going to stay on there.
And to be fair, like NIL's changed so much year by year, so it's kind of hard to keep up to date with it anyway.
It's wild. There's no rules. There's no rules.
It's basically free agency for these kids.
There's NBA players playing college basketball.
I saw that. That's crazy. Like you get drafted 3 years ago and you're like, I'm going to go back to college. It's like, what?
They're making more.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
It's broken.
Yeah.
Broken.
What was the class about? Like, what did you learn in this NIL class?
So it was a lot of athletes in the class. I wouldn't necessarily have labeled it like one of the easy like athlete electives necessarily. But it was a lot about how to like capitalize kind of on your own personal NIL within the NCAA regulations making sure that you're compliant, kind of all of the above. And I had a couple buddies that were football players that were in the class too. And we kind of sort of we definitely took some stuff from that class. And even with the podcast, like we were talking about, just kind of how to like maximize what your name means and how to earn revenue off of it based on different streams. And I'm not really a business guy necessarily. Didn't take a ton. That was really the only business class I ever took, but it was definitely, useful information on kind of how to find different revenue streams for what you can bring to the table and like different skill sets. That's kind of the avenue I would say it was.
Okay. Yeah, I was imagining something like they were laying out the guidelines on what you could or couldn't do, kind of thing. Like, because like you said, there's no rules, and that's not that far from the truth. But I imagine there's some guidelines, right? Like I don't know, because there's got to be, I don't know. Obviously, it's kind of a wild west, so there's probably some schools that are more strict than others on this type of thing.
Yeah, and a credit to TCU, honestly, because they were one of the first and are still doing a really good job of pushing like, hey, our athletes are employees basically, and we want them to get paid as much as humanly possible, and we're going to raise as much money to pay them as much as possible. But it definitely was like, okay, you can do this within this regulation kind of thing, which was funny a little bit because like the start of my college career was like basically the very start of NIL. And so just kind of seeing the evolution of it has definitely been wild. But yeah, of course there are regulations, but like it's so hard to stay on top of that stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the original premise of NIL was to be able to sell your jersey, make money off of your jersey sales.
Yeah.
You can get a meal paid for you by a restaurant, stuff like that. And then it turned into schools like, hey, we're going to give you $35 million to be the quarterback.
I mean, I think like the key example is AJ DeBonce at BYU right now is getting $8 million as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And think about BYU 10 years ago, getting the number one player in the country out of high school. Impossible.
Yeah, basketball especially, right? Isn't he? Is he a basketball? He's going to be the number one pick in basketball potentially.
I think he's projected like 2 or 3 now because of that Darren Peterson kid at Kansas. But yeah,
that's crazy. BYU basketball. I don't know. Anyway, you had talked about your experience in college and working. You worked at UT, right? University of Texas. Take us through like what you learned working in broadcasting and stuff like that at UT and TCU. Like, what were some lessons you learned during your time in college?
Yeah, so I came to Daytona from UT. I was there for about 6 months in between, I guess. So I graduated from TCU last spring, went into the Appy League in Tennessee, which is a college summer league for those that might not be familiar, which we can talk about later, but on the rise, big time. And then after that ended up at UT. And honestly, my time at UT really wasn't centered around broadcasting at all, because I had sort of checked the broadcasting boxes, so to speak. I mean, obviously within broadcasting, you want to get as many reps as you can and you want to constantly be improving your game. But for me, I had the broadcasting background. I had done so many games. I had done so many baseball games that kind of the area that I was lacking was the baseball communication side. And so really and a huge credit to, his name's Josh White. He's the baseball SID at Texas. He's been there for just over a year now. He came from Miami and he's maybe 28, 29. He was my boss there. And Josh is by far the best in the country at what he does. He is at 28 is the pinnacle of college baseball communications. And I can't credit him enough. The amount of stuff that I learned from him just about how to run a communications department, really. I mean, and that's kind of broad, but he really does run the show, and being able to sort of paint a narrative and to push a narrative through the media. I don't think it's something that I really understood. Like for college baseballs, as an example, let's take D1 baseball. They're the primary rankings organization in college baseball. There's no AP poll. Their ranking is pretty much the pinnacle. They control largely who gets into the NCAA tournament, and they're an independent organization just because their rankings are so factually based, so like metric heavy, and they do a great job. But the committee doesn't really have to do that much because this media outlet is pushing stuff like that. So from an organization perspective, if you're kind of able to create those relationships with an organization like that and to be able to push your own narrative, it really shapes how the public sees you as an organization is kind of what I really learned from my time at Texas. And it was invaluable for sure. And I got to work a lot of different sports too. I got to work football in the fall too, which is kind of crazy. I let a quick story for you guys. I went literally from, it was a Friday night, Texas played Texas A&M. A&M was 11-0 last week of the regular season. Texas beats Texas A&M, and pandemonium on the field after the game. Massive win for Texas. They have 3 losses, but huge, like 5 top 10 wins. And I'm grabbing Steve Sarkisian by the back of his shirt, like handing him his talking points to get to the podium and be like, hey, you have to sell yourself to get in the college football playoff. You have 5 top 10 wins right now. Like, you've got 5 minutes before you're talking to the media and you need to know what you're going to say to the next day, figuring out what our baseball catering options are for the press box. So like, it's just kind of all encompassing was my time at UT, but it helped me check so many boxes that really helped me get this job, honestly, because in minor league baseball, our front office is 11 people, you're sure I'm the broadcaster. I'm not just calling the games. Like, it's different every day, and you got to really have a lot of different skills. I know that was a very long-winded answer to what you said, or to your question, but those experiences just helped me kind of gain a lot of different skills that make someone valuable in a minor league baseball organization.
No, yeah, for sure. No, yeah, that's kind of like, what we were going for, trying to figure out like your background and what you've learned to get to this point. Cause minor league baseball, we understand that it can be like a lot of hats you have to wear. So yeah, I was wondering if you learned those lessons in your time with, even though UT is a big school and TCU is a little bit smaller being that private school, but I'm sure they have a pretty robust program there for what I could tell.
Yeah. And just for the record, I'm a frog. It's horns down, always has been, always will be.
All right.
I appreciate my time at Texas, but I'm a Frog fan. I got no love for the Longhorns.
Fair. Yeah. Ricky's a Miami. He's a guy of the U. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any rivalry there. I'm not into big college football, even though I'm in Ohio. I got Ohio State family and all that, and I kind of watch them, but not, I like baseball a lot more than getting into
Miami baseball is a lot of fun. Had a lot of great players come through there.
Yeah, so actually my former boss at Texas, Josh, who I just mentioned, he was the Miami baseball SID before he came to Texas. He went to Miami, double grad, and then was there for like 5 years, I think, before moving to Texas. And actually, Jim Schlossnagle, who former TCU head coach, now the head coach at Texas, tried to steal him from Miami to go to A&M. And he turned it down, and then he took the Texas job when Slosh ended up moving to Texas, which was funny.
Yeah.
But he had loyalty to your Canes.
Nice. Very nice.
Take it. Yeah, you kind of mentioned the Appalachian League a little bit. Talk us through that a little bit. You said you called games, you wrote recaps, and oversaw the broadcasting operations. Like, what was day-to-day like there?
Yeah, so let me tell you guys about the Appy League a little bit. And I love talking about the Appalachian League because they are doing things right in the Appy League. And this is going to sound like a little bit of a hot take, but I'm not really into hot takes, and this isn't one. The Appy League and the MLB partner leagues that they are creating in collegiate summer baseball, they're going to put the Cape Cod League out of business in the next 3 to 4 years.
Interesting.
And it's not that the Cape necessarily does anything wrong. The Cape just has a name. And honestly, like, when you kind of think about it, it's just a name. When it rains every day up there, they play on pretty poor fields. They stay with host families. They don't get paid. And sure that, they draw big crowds, and, they're on Cape Cod, which is a nice place, but the players don't get treated very well. And that's not a knock on the Cape. It's just how college baseball is. College athletes don't get treated that well in general, but the Appy League, and this is a huge part to Major League Baseball. They put $5 million into the Appy League last year, and it's taken off, and these players love it. The caliber of baseball is incredible. So I spent last summer with the Elizabethton River Riders, a former affiliate of the Minnesota Twins. They used to be the Elizabethton Twins. And so there's 10 teams. I guess last year there was 10 teams in the Appy League. This year there's going to be 8. Next year there will be 10 again. There's construction, stadiums, whatever. So the West Division, which is pretty much all East Tennessee, there's 5 teams, which are all owned by Boyd Sports, who also own the Chicago Cubs AA Knoxville Smokies. And Boyd is Randy Boyd, who's the president at the University of Tennessee. And Boyd Sports is a terrific organization. Working for them was an incredible experience. Kiva Fuller, our general manager in Elizabethton, has been in college summer ball for almost 2 decades now, and she's one of the best people in baseball that I've ever met. But yeah, to answer your question, really, 48 games in 56 days, just a gauntlet of a summer, and it's kind of a preparation for that MLB schedule. I mean, that's the schedule that we're playing this year, just expanded, playing every day except Mondays, traveling all over. I mean, I told you before we went on the air, like, I had to drive through Kentucky and Ohio to get to West Virginia, and that was on a road trip. That was to Huntington, West Virginia, on the campus of Marshall. They have a team there. But I think the Appy League especially really prepares people like me as well, but as well as the players, for kind of what that gauntlet of a minor league baseball schedule and a pro baseball schedule is like. And so I can't say good enough things about that league, just because it really is pro ball before you're in pro ball. And I got so much better. I went from calling TCU home games to doing 48 games in 56 days by myself. And that's how you get better at what you want to do, Yeah,
for sure. And it sounds like you said, the Appy League kind of prepared you for the current job you just got hired for this month, the Daytona Tortugas, named the broadcaster. Like take us through, did you interview for the job? How does that work in that respect? Were you looking at other different jobs in affiliate baseball? Take us through that process.
So this is a great story, actually. Minor league baseball broadcasting is one of the most competitive industries that you could really ever imagine. Just because there's, 120 something teams. I forget what the exact number is. 122. One of you guys probably knows that.
Yeah, they consolidated after COVID to 120 something number for sure.
Yeah. And so there's only that many jobs, but there's hundreds and, into the thousands of people just like me that are trying to get professional broadcasting jobs, and there just aren't the jobs to accommodate people. And so 1, you have to get lucky, but 2, you kind of have to have, it sounds kind of corny to know the right people. And I don't really like saying that, because I think it is much more merit-based than that. But to have people that will go to bat for you, sort of thing. And one of those people was Kiva Fuller, our general manager in Elizabethton. But another was actually Reds legend, broadcaster, Hall of Famer Marty Brennaman. Okay. And so and this was kind of the lucky part of it, right? My sophomore year at TCU, I sit down in English Comp 2, your basic English class, nothing special, writing essays. And I'm sitting next to Ella Brenneman, Marty's granddaughter, Tom's daughter, outstanding woman. Can't say enough good things about Ella. one of my good friends, and still to this day we text every now and then. But she knew what I wanted to do from the get go. I was calling TCU games at that point, and so this was probably, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. She was like, "Hey, like, I know I've said this, but like, I really need to connect you with my grandpa." And I'm like, "Yeah, that would be great. That would be awesome." Hall of Famer. I mean, I think over 50 years with the Reds in the booth. One of the goats of baseball.
Yeah.
And so Ella literally just gives me her grandpa's phone number. She's like, just call him. He'll answer. I'm like Marty Brenneman, just call him.
Yeah.
For a guy like me, that's kind of weird, but I'm like, all right. And so I call him and he answers on the first ring. He's like, he doesn't have a radio voice either. He sounds exactly like he does on the air. "This is Marty. How you doing?" And like, "Oh, Mr. Brenneman, hey, Ella gave me your number. She said it would be good for us to chat." And me and Mr. Brenneman probably talked for about 30, 45 minutes the first time we were on the phone. And he goes, "Yeah, and he's got green text. He's got an Android. And he goes, "Hey," "I'm not good at text. Just call me whenever. If I don't answer, you leave me a voicemail. I'll call you back," which is exactly what he does, by the way. And he calls you back in about 10 minutes. And so ever since then, I've stayed in touch with Mr. Brenneman. And actually, the thing with the Tortugas job was that the job never got posted. This job was not really publicly solicited at all. And a credit to my former boss, Josh White at Texas. He gave me some great advice, basically that I should be Twitter stalking minor league baseball broadcasters and seeing who's leaving, who's getting promoted, who's going other places, who's retiring, whatever. And I saw that the former broadcaster in Daytona was leaving. And I've since heard that a lot of people do what I did. And I've heard that they got over like 500 resumes emailed for this job, which is just, that's every job in minor league baseball broadcasting. It's unreal. But anyway, Mr. Brenneman ended up connecting me with Bob, one of our owners. We have 3 main owners that are partners with the Tortugas, and he connected me with Bob. Bob connected me with Jim, our general manager, and then had a couple interviews with Jim. I know that they were considering some other people as well, but I got very fortunate and to be able to land this. It's for someone like me at my age, it's a complete dream. It's what I've wanted to do my entire life. So it's thank you to Bob and Marty Brenneman and Jim. Like, again, that was long-winded, but it was a pretty crazy kind of ride to get here, honestly.
No, well worth the story. Like that's pretty intense. We interviewed Tom. We're kind of we know Tom through some other people and whatnot, and got connected with him and whatnot. I guess we got to call Marty if we want to get him on this show. So we just got to call him. Not
Don't text him. Don't text him. He'll answer. You just call him.
All right. Good advice.
Yeah, it was cool. When we talked to Tom, he told the story about how Marty was calling games in North Carolina, I think it was, for the minor league team.
Yeah,
and Al Michaels retired or left. He didn't retire. He
moved on.
His contract ended, and he became a free agent effectively. And Marty moved to Cincinnati. I think Tom was like 11. And he told the story because when he got there, it was in 74. So it was the year before the Big Red Machine, right? So he's meeting like Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, and all these guys. And he's telling all these awesome stories as like an 11-year-old watching these guys. And then, and then he's got all these other stories about his dad just, being who Marty is. And like, he's like, my dad would love to do this. He's like, what'd he say? He's like, my dad would love to come on a show like this. You guys are awesome. I was like, dude, Tom, don't flatter us, man. Like, it was like our first like official interview. I think we had one like just before it. Like we had just started. Like it was like almost a year ago. But yeah, I mean, kind of speaking about Marty a little bit. Is there a specific broadcaster that you kind of look up to and kind of model your game, so to say, like who you're trying to like be like, other than like obviously be yourself, but like, like I think a lot of people look up to like Joe Buck and like guys like him.
Yeah, and I love this question actually because kind of like you said, I think a lot of people in broadcasting sort of hesitate to compare themselves to people because they're like, "Oh, I want to be, myself. I want to, do my own thing," which is true, of course. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm trying to be someone else because of course you have to be yourself, but there are a ton of great broadcasters that I really like to take snippets from, even if it's just like word choice, like one or two like simple things, words that I think can enhance a moment at any point. But I to the top of my list, number one all time, I would say Jim Nance. I think he's my goat just with his versatility
Yeah.
and is a master of the English language, kind of is what I like to say. I would like to get to that point of I wouldn't necessarily say grammar, but just like control of the language. So Jim Nance is one, not a play-by-play guy, but a guy that I think is the best at what he does is Scott Van Pelt.
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
I don't think anyone rivals him on Sports Center. I think he's another guy that does such a good job about making what he does not about himself. And I think that's what I don't know, maybe broadcasters don't struggle with, but it's something that you kind of have to realize like, hey, people aren't here to listen to you. Like,
Yeah.
like sure you're a storyteller, you have to tell that story, but it's not your story. You gotta it's it's other people's lives that are more important than your own. I think a guy that's had an unbelievable career year this year, especially, has been Sean McDonough
Mm.
on ESPN college football. I think he's been fantastic. Growing up as a Mariner fan, Dave Niehaus is our guy, our radio play-by-play guy. I mean, of course, Vin Scully is up there for me. And you mentioned Joe Buck. I'm actually not that big of a Joe Buck guy. I'm not like your typical hater. I just
Right.
think
Right.
I think he's good.
Yeah.
I mean he's way better than I am. Um, but in terms of like all time greats, I think that on my list at least, there's a couple that outrank him. Joe Davis is one of them currently. He's been incredible.
Yeah, his call in the World Series when Rojas hit that home run, he's like, "You gotta be kidding me!" I was like, that was so real. Like, and like, I think everybody
Yes.
could agree with what he said. Like, no way. Like, there's no way that happened, and it did.
Yeah.
I guess I mentioned Joe Buck just because he's like the most obvious one that a lot of people kind of model their game after. And Scott Van Pelt to me is kind of interesting. You said him because I feel like he's very underrated. Like you said, him and you might be too young, but Stuart Scott, just when he
Oh, yeah.
was on ESPN, he was just
Oh yeah.
I love
Ooh, yeah.
Stuart Scott. And yeah, and like for us Reds fans, we had George Grand for a while. I don't know if you've listened to him much. He had a lot of his home run calls were just so simple, but it was just awesome. And like his storytelling, you could like he could paint a picture for you with his words, and it was just it was just awesome.
Yeah. I love guys like that because and it's interesting in minor league baseball too, because regardless of what your streaming setup looks like, you're pretty much always going to be doing a radio call, even if there is video with it. So I mean, I love being able to like watch a minor league baseball game and close my eyes.
Yeah.
And to be able to know what, exactly what's going on, kind of like what you said.
Yeah, for sure. I prefer the radio a little bit more than the TV sometimes as well. But
Yeah, and like another one for me is like Rich Eisen. I liked him a lot too.
did we lose him, Rick?
I'll pause it.
All right, you had mentioned you're 2 weeks into your new job there in Daytona. Like, what are you doing day to day? Like, and what are you kind of like kind of looking forward to most, like going into this 2026 season?
Yeah, I think with any role in minor league baseball, the day to day is kind of up in the air. And you kind of, at least for me, I sort of have to tackle whatever might be happening today. Actually, today was a weird day. Like, we thought that Dick Vitale was going to be at the ballpark today. I think it originally was supposed to be him. It ended up being somebody else. Like, we're hosting a charity softball game for the Jimmy V Foundation this summer. So like, I was out with our GM shooting some promo videos today with the sheriff department and the fire department. But on a more like basic level, kind of starting out is really technically heavy. And, I don't want to bore your viewers with a bunch of technical jargon, but like, we're putting in a new streaming software this season. It's called Aware. I was actually kind of a guinea pig for it in the Appy League last summer. So kind of an all new brand that we're hoping is going to improve our video stream this year. And because of the construction, our cameras actually aren't online yet. So haven't necessarily been able to dive in too deep with that, but really trying to get ahead of all the technical issues that we're going to face this season. And then just kind of building out our media base for the season, our game notes, our historical information, our record book. It's very baseball information heavy, which I think my time at Texas really helped with because it was so communication focused. But we do have a very accurate record base. And I was telling you guys before we started recording, the MLB stat system is crazy. It's so sweet. I've been nerding out on that all day, which has been fun. But yeah, I mean, just kind of starting to try and build out that game note template, a lot of kind of smaller graphic design stuff, getting in touch with local, national, semi-national media outlets, trying to increase our coverage, and then just kind of helping around the ballpark. But I'm really, really excited to see what we're able to do on the technical side with our new setup, our new software, and trying to make it one of the best in minor league baseball, which I think is an absolute possibility over the next year or two, especially with how dedicated our front office is and how hard they work. They help out a ton, and I try and help them with whatever I can too. Might be selling some sponsorships soon. I don't know. It's different every day, but that's kind of the basis of what I've been doing recently.
Yeah, that minor league hustle for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people just think, "Oh, you're just calling games every day." It's like, no, you're doing a lot more than that.
It would be really fun if I could just show up to the park, and I've said that America got lost when we stopped letting guys like Harry Carey just get hammered on the air every night and just say whatever they wanted.
Yeah,
I'm joking, but it was a good era.
Kind of,
Yeah.
kind of joking.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Daytona had a pretty interesting season last year. They had a lot of the ACL guys got promoted mid-season. Some top prospects got called up. Tyson Lewis is one of them. Alfredo Duno played the whole season down there. Just a monster of a human being he is. Have you been looking into the guys that you might possibly be calling their games for? And then Tyson Lewis in particular, I'm assuming he's probably going to start down there. Do you know much about him? And then like, what do you expect to see from him this year?
Yeah, so it's a little difficult. I am definitely trying to make some educated guesses on what our roster is necessarily going to look like. We're still about 10-ish days away from everyone reporting to spring training, which is, I love being in Florida. I love the Florida State League. Don't get me wrong, but we are the only team that doesn't have spring training in Florida that is in the Florida State League. Everyone else plays at their complex. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit tough having that in Arizona. But I am trying to make some educated guesses for sure. We are not going to be seeing Alfredo Duno back in Daytona this year.
Yeah.
There's no shot. I mean, I don't have any inside info, but
oh, okay. I thought you were breaking news.
No, I don't have any info on that, but he was the Florida State League MVP last year. I mean, he broke every single franchise record. The record book is like everything from 2025 is in bold in our record book, and the entire thing is bold because he broke every single record. And he played almost every single day, which is one of the more impressive things that I saw. Him playing every single day, I think, was one of the most impressive things that stood out to me. I wasn't necessarily following the team extremely close last year just because I didn't really have any ties to the organization, but have of course gone back and seen the incredible things that they did, and a a team that's really been on the rise in the Florida State League. I think 4 playoff appearances since the Reds became the affiliate in 2015, 2016. This will be season number 11. And I think it's just kind of a matter of time. The Reds have done an outstanding job of drafting guys and a really good job in the Dominican. And of course, it's international, right? And the international player pool, but it's so heavily Dominican. And that's not a knock against the Cubans and the Mexicans and the Venezuelans and the Japanese and all the other great baseball countries. But there's just so much talent coming out of the Dominican right now. And everyone has complexes down there, but the Reds do such a great job signing guys, getting guys when they're 16, 17 years old, which we've seen in professional baseball is how you get those guys and how you develop them. And the player development side is what I'm really, really excited to see this year. I don't know if you guys have talked about it on the show, but Ricky Gutierrez is coming back to Daytona this year. His second stint as the manager is, I think, going to be huge. Right when we announced Ricky coming back to Daytona, for those who might not know, Nationals third base coach the last 2 years, has been in the big leagues for the last 3. But the second we announced it, the first comment we got on the Instagram page was Adam Jones talking about how Ricky was such an instrumental piece in getting him to where he got and his success in the big leagues. But Ricky's a Florida guy, Miami native, and I just think his ties to this area, to this team, to the organization is going to be massive for this team. I know we talked about Alfredo Duno, but another guy that I was really impressed with last year, I actually saw him at the collegiate level. I called one of his games last year before he got drafted, was Kian Vu from Arizona State. Five-tool player. He really only played 22 or 23 games in Daytona last year, but hit just under 300. His first 6 hits of his pro career were all doubles. He flies. He went to Arizona State. They came to Fort Worth to play TCU last year. And he had like a little bit of an ankle sprain on Friday night. He only played in 1 game, but on a sprained ankle, he took like 3 bags on us on actually the best catcher in the transfer portal this year. So it's like, I kind of could tell at that point, but he's actually kind of a friend of a friend. So I did follow him a little bit last year, and I don't know if we're going to see him at the start of the year in Daytona. I think he might be in Dayton, but again, that's a guess, but he's a guy that really stood out to me last season. I think has a very bright big league future.
Yeah, we had him on a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
It's funny because his first week as a pro, he went hitless. He didn't get on base all but one time. He got hit by a pitch. I think he was like 0 for 10.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, man, what is going on? And his coach is like, look, man, I went 0 for 22. Just relax. Yeah. And then he went out there the next week and wins player of the week. So it's like, it's crazy. Kian's awesome. He was, he's a lot of fun. He's a good dude.
Yeah. I think wherever that guy is this year, he's going to steal about 1 million bases. I don't think people have seen his speed. Too. Yes, absolutely. He's on a meteoric path is what I would say. And I think he's going to be one of the top 5 prospects in this organization pretty quickly. I think a very high ceiling in my opinion.
Yeah, we like that a lot. We just talking to him personally, he's a good dude. Like, we wish nothing but the best for him. Like, he's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
They got a great program over there at Arizona State with Mariner legend Willie Bloomquist at the helm.
Yeah, he talked about Willie when we interviewed him. So yeah, that's great. We're actually kind of jealous of you because we feel, at least from what we cover all the levels for the most part, as much as we can on this podcast. But like, we're kind of jealous. You could cover Daytona, and Daytona should be pretty good. And ACL, which feeds into like Daytona, is going to be pretty stacked as well, from what we can tell. Obviously with the rumors and speculation and whatnot, we don't know exactly sure, but like we're pretty confident Tyson Lewis will be there with you in Daytona, at least maybe for a little bit, unless he catches fire and maybe he ends up moving up. But I think he is expected to be there. I think isn't Arnaldo Lantigua is there as well. He was an ACL guy that got moved up a little bit. Mason Neville, who got drafted in 2025 along with Ken, should be pretty good. Is Aaron Watson starting in Daytona? Ricky, I'm trying to.
He might be ACL, but I mean, if he pitches fine, he might get single A time.
So,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent that are really high prospects that are in the ACL that are going to be in Daytona like really soon. Like Adolfo Sanchez is like a top 12 prospect. He's probably going to start in the ACL. He just made it to the U.S. at the end of the season last year. Pablo Nunez is another one. Hansel Jimenez. Like there's some guys that are coming up that are like, and then like Steele Hall, first round draft pick last year. You know, he's probably going to start in the ACL, but I mean, he could be in Daytona fairly quickly also.
Yeah, and your original question was about Simpson too, and I have done a lot of reading this week, kind of into especially front office comments. One, because I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but I want to hold the company line in a way to where our communication is consistent from the top down. But also, of course, from media outlets, and I'm a massive consumer of baseball media. But I mean, everything about Simpson has sky high potential. It's the ceiling is outrageously high. I don't necessarily see a ton of prospects with a higher ceiling. I think this is a guy that gets to the big leagues very shortly. Like you said, I think we probably see him in Daytona at the start of the season, and I don't know how long he's going to be here.
Yeah, and when he debuted in the ACL last year, his first hit was the hardest hit ball by any Red ever in a StatCast era.
It was like 118, 117 off the bat. It was crazy,
including Ellie.
All levels.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think Ellie's hit
wild.
Maybe 116.
I think Ellie's is like 116, 117. I know Marte had a home run last year at 116, and he goes out, his first hit tops it. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know that. That's
look forward to that.
I don't know if you guys have StatCast metrics at Jackie Robinson Park.
We do, yeah.
You're gonna be having a field day with that.
Yeah,
he's fast. He hits the ball hard. He's like an Ellie light in a way. Just not trying to knock him as a player, but like, you know, Ellie's kind of different in his own little stratosphere. But like Tyson Lewis can be like an Ellie type guy with his 5-tool player.
Yeah, there's another guy, and I'm looking at my phone just to make sure that I get
sure,
the name right here. Yeah, so this was from a guy that I had been with in summer ball 3 years ago now, and I think he's still at North Georgia. But Kyle Henley was a guy that he talked about a lot. Has unbelievably high graded defense, one of the best defenders in minor league baseball. And let me pull that number up again.
I think he had 50 bases last year.
He had 57 bags in 99 games.
Yeah, that's insane.
All right.
Think about that pace.
That's insane.
He's on pace for like 85 in 162 game season. And I mean, he hit almost 270 last year with a 40% K rate. He's one swing adjustment away from being a 310 plus hitter. Stealing 80 bags, 5 tools.
We're big fans of him too. I remember I covered the Reds on SI, and I would do like the minor league recap for the day, and every day it was like Kyle Henley 3 stolen bases. I was like, holy cow, man, this guy's crazy. And then I remember doing at the end of the season, I was like, I put in like their final stats. I was like, holy shoot, man, this guy stole 57 bags. Man, this is crazy.
Yeah, I've never really even seen stolen base numbers like that, especially with it. Like his on base wasn't that much higher than his batting average either. And he's on first, he's on third.
Yeah.
It is incredible. He's like a legit like 6.25 runner.
Man, that's insane. I try to run the Instagram page, and I like he popped up the other day. I was like, oh, why am I not following this guy? So I was like, man, like like you said, he's like one swing adjustment from getting down to like a 40% K rate to like a 27% K rate, and he can hit. Yeah, like you're looking at like Acuna with not as much power, and it's like that's crazy.
I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. I gave him a Corbin Carroll comp.
I like that. Yeah, I do see that.
Nice. And I also heard we got some friends that go to Daytona games from time to time. That he's really good with the fans too. So there's that.
Very good. Quick shout out. We have some unbelievable season ticket holders here in Daytona and an outstanding fan base. Even in my first week and a half here, we'll have multiple season ticket holders every single day that will just come into the office, and we'll know everyone in the front office. We'll say hi. They might need something. They might not. They might just be walking by the ballpark, and they'll be like, hey, guys, good to see you. See ya. Really, really cool community. It's been fun.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, we'll go a little bit more broad with this one because you said you're kind of a sports guy, big-time baseball guy. It's 2026. This is kind of a big year for baseball if you follow it in terms of the CBA being up in December. Like Ricky and I basically started this podcast talking about, will baseball do a salary cap or something like that? Or is there something else that could be like a solution that keeps baseball going? Like, what do you have any thoughts on like the CBA coming up, or do you have any thoughts on potential salary cap at all?
I'm scared because I think we're in store for the longest lockout in baseball history. And to answer your question, no, the players will never agree to a salary cap under any circumstances, regardless of what the owners give them. Even if they put in a salary floor, there's no reason and honestly, good for the players because they've worked their entire lives. Like my definition of the American dream is Juan Soto. Poor kid from the Dominican Republic comes to America and gets a $700 million contract.
Yeah.
Because he's the best at what he does and he deserves it. Who are billionaire owners to cap that? Right. And to say, oh, no, we're just going to give you a 4-year deal instead of a 12-year deal. When these guys can easily play from when they're 26 to when they're 38 and bring in $1 billion for the organization and win multiple World Series. So I don't know, to answer the question, I don't think there's any chance that the players would ever agree to a salary cap. I have a friend that is, I won't out him, but he's a minor league representative for the MLB Players Association for a different Major League Baseball organization. And he was at the Players Association meeting in maybe like December or January. And the executive director, who has his own former executive director who has had his own problems recently. I mean, the first thing he told me that he said, he got up in front of the room and said, get ready, guys. Like, we're probably going to have a lockout here. And I don't know. I struggle to see necessarily what the solution is. I think the owners are going to have to give in to some pretty high demands, but the players deserve it.
Yeah, I think this probably doesn't get talked about a lot, but I think really the owners are kind of to blame for the problem because you look at like, am I drawing a blank on his name? Dave Parker was the first $1 million per year player when he signed a contract with the Pirates. I think it was in '84. I think it was in the early to mid '80s. And then, you go from that to you see, you can blame capitalism, you can blame inflation, whatever. But then you go to you're looking at $55 million per year contracts for one player.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it. Like, you want to have the next player that is good make more than the other player. But I think there has to be a line that owners need to be like, I don't know where I'm going with this. So like Mike Trout, when Mike Trout signed his extension with the Angels, I don't think there was a player on the planet that was better than Mike Trout, right?
Agreed.
And then the next year there was 3 players that signed for more than Mike Trout. And I'm like, how does that happen? It's like, I guess it's capitalism and I guess it's whatever, but I think, the owners are really kind of to blame because they felt like they had to make the move when they probably didn't have to. And then that's not taken away from the players either, because obviously they deserve it. Like, they're the ones going out every single day, putting their bodies on the line, working out every day. And like you said, the American dream, that's perfect. Poor kid from another country comes in and just gets all the money in the world. Kind of the same with Shohei Ohtani. He comes in from Japan. I don't know what his life was like pre-billionaire, basically, but
yeah,
it's kudos to them, man. But I feel like, the owners can get mad at the players for taking all this money, but they're the ones that gave them the money in the first place.
They started it. Yeah, no, you're entirely correct. They advanced it.
They just
rapidly.
kept going up and up and up and up, and it's just it's a tough subject because
it sucks.
Yeah, and it hurts nobody. It hurts. It doesn't hurt anybody except for the players and the fans. The owners, they still have their money. They still have their ventures outside of the sport. The players, their livelihood is on playing the game for the most part, unless you're the upper echelon player that has sponsorship deals. And then the fans that want to see their favorite team in their city play the game. And what's not fair is when you do that, you get the guys that are at your level in the minor leagues that are making scraps and they're trying to get that contract, and they could potentially be locked out too. And then their whole situation's changed because maybe some of them players, gave up college to pursue their dream, and then just like that, it's gone.
Yes, and so I will say on that too, I honestly didn't really know this until the last year or two, and I would say the majority of fans probably don't know this, is that minor league baseball is technically under a different collective bargaining agreement than the MLB Players Association. It includes, the Players Association includes everyone that's on the 40-man roster. So technically the guys that aren't on the 40-man, if they're under a current CBA, would be able to play minor league baseball even if there is an MLB lockout. Again, I'm not saying that that's likely. I don't think that it is. But thankfully for guys like that, there could be a potential option or an avenue. But again, if the big leaguers aren't playing, I don't know if the minor leaguers would, especially at the AAA level when you're looking at probably a third to half of the roster that are going to be impacted by that 40-man rule. So I don't know. I think that if there is a lockout, you'll see AZL probably for sure. I don't know if you would see anything other than that.
Yeah, I thought after the 2020, pandemic year, they consolidated the minors and everything under the major league umbrella, at least in terms of executive leadership and whatnot. I thought that meant they would be on the same CBA. That's interesting to see that they have kind of separate. It makes sense also in a way that they have kind of separate things because there are two different entities in a sense. Major leagues is a lot more expensive probably to run, but the minors have 120 teams, like you said, or whatnot. So I don't know. I guess it's interesting that they would. I guess there's probably not a possibility that they would play without the majors or the majors being locked out, but it'd be interesting if they did.
Well, they're under very similar CBAs, and it expires at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So which is December of 2026.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying that, the minor league player association would agree to a new CBA just on their own. I doubt that they would, but it leaves at least some options for those guys. But I mean, and with the salary stuff too, I think it's so important for these guys to be making what they're worth, because it's not like football and basketball where you're playing a high contact sport. Like, it's a little bit tougher to get hurt in baseball, and maybe pitchers is a little bit of a different story, but for the most part, you're showing up to spring training in February and your season's not over till the end of September. Like, if you're a big leaguer in spring training and you're going into the playoffs, you could easily play over 200 games in a season. It's not like you're playing once a week. You're playing every single day for 9 months. Like, you deserve to make, if you're worth 50 million a year, you deserve to get that 50 million a year,
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, kind of tying into that a little bit, like, this was kind of like the first offseason where we've seen a lot of players get like signing bonuses as a part of their contract too. I'm like, famously, Kyle Tucker for the Dodgers, his salary for this year is like $6 million or something, and he got a $60 million signing bonus. Like, I've never seen baseball teams give out signing bonuses, kind of like the NBA, or like mostly the NFL, but like just that seems to be kind of telling about what they're kind of anticipating this winter also.
I would agree, and I don't know if like Scott Boras has something up his sleeve and he's tricking a bunch of people, but I know that he's Tarek Skubal's agent, and Tarek Skubal went to Seattle University. Seattle U head coach Donnie Harrell is a good family friend, and from what I've heard from Donnie is that regardless of Skubal's arbitration, which good for him, regardless of that this year, he was not going to sign an extension under the current CBA because of what basically Scott Boras was like, even if you blow out in your first start of the year and miss the entire season, you're going to be worth so much more money under a new collective bargaining agreement that it's worth it to play another season under the current CBA, try and win your arbitration. And even if you don't win your arbitration, you'll get it back under the new collective bargaining.
Yeah, that arbitration case was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
that much disparity. Like that.
Yeah.
Like, we had like Tyler Stevenson for the Reds, like they went to arbitration over like $250,000. And like and then you see Skubal go for like, what was it, like 19 million, I think was the difference. Like,
yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, I think he filed for like 18 and he filed for 32, and I think the Tigers wanted to pay him 18 or something like that. So yeah, it's a big difference. Not 250,000 though.
Yeah. I actually have a Tarek Skubal signed baseball right here.
Oh,
nice.
Hey.
Future Dodger.
That was a gift.
Skubal.
Yes, future Dodger Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, we got one of those, and Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Tarek Skubal's going to get $400 million from the Dodgers next year. I don't think there's any stopping it, right?
Yeah, I mean, they could trade for him right now if they wanted to. Like, they got the prospects to do it.
I think they really tried this year. That's a guess. I mean,
now this is kind of off topic a little bit, but do you think that the Tigers offered that low of an arbitration number anticipating a trade, or do you think, because they went out and got Framber Valdez, is that his name?
Yeah.
And they paid him more than what Skubal got in arbitration, which is hilarious to me that you would sign a free agent who I think is older and had the incident catcher. I don't know what that really means, but like, you go out and you sign a free agent for more than what your 2-time reigning Cy Young pitcher, like that's crazy.
Framber Valdez is the highest paid left-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball history. God. And he's on the same pitching staff as Tarek Skubal,
who won back-to-back Cy Young awards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Make it make sense. And the owners are mad about salary caps. Like that. Like,
it's fine. the Tigers have the best player in the MLB, Kerry Carpenter. So fine. He torched the Mariners in the DS. So me and my friends have called him the best player in the league.
Gotcha.
I think he went like 12 for 21 in the DS or something like that. It was something super stupid.
Of course.
I guess kind of wrapping up here a little bit. I'm sure Roger's got one after my final question, but like, what is your outlook for this season? I know you said you do more than just call games. Like you're in charge of a lot of stuff. But do you have a goal in mind that you want to kind of accomplish with the season? And is there anything you're kind of looking forward to the most?
I think the thing that I'm definitely looking forward to the most is getting a full 132 under my belt, getting the first season of every single day, not missing a game. I think it's hard to get 132, regardless of, if you're not planning on taking time off. A lot of guys might only get 130, or their team might make them take a weekend off or something. Thankfully, I'm going to do all 132. I don't anticipate anything stopping me doing that. And I think that's the thing I'm excited for most, just because it's, broadcasting, I feel like, is like anything. The more you do it, the better you get at it. But every day that I'm calling a game, I feel like I get better. I feel like I can kind of hear myself getting better, and I can make improvements on the fly. And I feel like, okay, I heard that yesterday. I heard what I did. I want to do this different today. I can try things out, do things differently, and really just kind of improve my craft. But again, it's about telling that story. And I think that Daytona has such a intriguing story compared to so many minor league organizations. The history of baseball in this city is so rich and deep and incredible that it's a tall task to kind of tell that story. So I'm definitely looking forward to the challenge of being able to tell it over the course of 132 and keep people engaged throughout that length of time. And I think there's a learning curve to it too, but that's definitely what I'm most excited for. And I think this is a big year in Daytona. I think, the expectation is to win Florida State League titles here.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good. And like you said, at least we're kind of jealous because we feel like Daytona and the ACL are two of the stronger units of the Reds affiliate system. So you'll hopefully be able to see a lot of exciting moments and a lot of exciting players coming through the Florida State League. So, and we're going to end up with one last question. We really appreciate your time and being able to answer our questions and whatnot. Our last question that we usually ask, and I'll modify it a bit because we know you're a Mariners fan at heart. But usually we ask the question, do the Reds win in our lifetime? And will the Mariners win in our lifetime?
Okay, I like it. The Mariners have not won in my lifetime. I'm going to start with the Mariners. I'll get to this is a Red show, so I'll save it for last. And I have, obviously developed I've never had anything against the Cincinnati Reds, so I've definitely developed a bigger fondness over the last, since I got hired. Start with the Mariners. The Mariners need to win it in the next 3 years. I think that they will. I'm going to say yes. I think if it doesn't happen in the next 3 years, it's going to be a long time. But they haven't won it in my life. They've made the playoffs 3 times in my life. Yeah, 3 times in my life. I'm going to say yes on the Mariners. On the Reds, I would say yes as well, because just kind of what we've talked about with the player development aspect. Like you look at the young guys in this system. Ellie De La Cruz is the prime example. A guy that's been a born and bred Cincinnati Red from the get-go in his professional baseball career. And he's only gotten better. He's only going to keep getting better. And I think that the talent identification and the player development in this organization, and even bringing guys in like Ricky Gutierrez and the rest of this coaching staff and from top to bottom in the organization, there's a dedication to player development. And that's not true for some MLB organizations. There's some really weak farm systems out there who don't care to develop their own talent. I think the drafting has also been good, and as well as the international signings. So I think the Reds' commitment to finding guys in the Dominican Republic and developing the guys that they draft, I think it's kind of twofold. The Dominican guys, I would say, are on a faster trajectory than the draft guys, but I think the draft guys could potentially be a bigger crop of talent because of how well the Reds have been able to develop their guys. I mean, you saw Alfredo Duno in his first year of pro. That guy was 18 last year. Yeah. And he was by far the best player in the Florida State League. And he's going to be in the big leagues in that. Now, air quotes around 18. There's been some skepticism on baseball Twitter about that. I'm not one to say. I don't know I don't know about that, but if he is 18, or I guess he'd be 19. He's probably one of the best 19-year-olds on the planet. So
I remember.
I'm going to say yes on the Reds.
All right, I remember that kind of stuff when Albert Pujols got pulled up at age 20 and he looked like a 40-year-old man. You know?
Yeah. And then played till he was 43 or whatever.
So there was always one of those kind of guys. You're just like, I don't know. But anyway, and it would be great in the next 3 years Seattle win because Seattle wins it all because they got some former Reds like Luis Castillo out there in Seattle still doing it. So that'd be nice
Reds
to see.
Legend.
Yeah, exactly. We sent you Suarez back in the day. Unfortunately, he's now back here, so it's all coming full circle and whatnot. So
yeah, we called him the Seattle Reds for a while just because of all the moves.
Noelvi Marte as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw any of the quotes out of spring training, but Eugenio Suarez has been like just really hyping up Edwin Arroyo and really hyping up Noelvi Marte. Just because he knows them from Seattle, and he called. I wrote a piece on this the other day. He called Edwin Arroyo a future superstar. I don't know. Just from you being a fan of Seattle, what do you know about Edwin Arroyo?
I would say that anything Eugenio Suarez says, I would believe. That guy is. I think he's the best clubhouse guy in Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
he's infectious. Just a spark plug, and I think that the Reds got an absolute steal. How old is he? 39,
34.
40? Is he really that young?
Yeah, 30. He turns 35 this July, I think. This summer.
Okay. Well, they got a 35-year-old that hit 52 jacks last year. Was it 52? I think,
including the postseason. Yeah.
No one's ever gotten a deal like that. What, he got 15 million?
1 year with the mutual option.
Steal.
Yeah.
Absolute steal.
I saw a thing. I think it was talking baseball. I think it was Jake had mentioned. He's the only active player who has the majority of their playing time at third base that has had multiple 45 home run seasons. And he's only one of 3 active players today that have had more than 45 home runs in a season twice.
I don't get why people are forgetting about how good Gino Suarez is. I think that part of it was because he wasn't great when he came to the Mariners last season. But everyone in Seattle really forgot about that when he hit the grand slam in Game 5 of the LCS. I was at that game. It was unbelievable.
That's awesome.
And no one remembers how poor he was the rest of the playoffs. No shade on Gino. Love him to death. But, I mean, he wasn't great after he came over from the D-backs. But it didn't matter. He had one of the biggest hits in franchise history.
Yeah, I think there was some factors to that. Like he got hit in the hand twice within like 3 weeks. He got hit in the hand in the All-Star break, in the All-Star game, and then he got hit in the hand like 2 days before the trade deadline. That was a wild ride. I don't know if you're familiar with any of the Reds like beat writers or media guys, but Jim Day, he said that when Eugenio Suarez walked in the clubhouse, it was like Moses parting the Red Sea. He said it was infectious because everybody just like smiled immediately. Like he seems like such a good dude.
He seems like the most respected guy on every single team that he's on.
Yeah.
And it was kind of crazy. I'm not to dwell on the Mariners, but to see him and Josh Naylor come at the same time, and both of them kind of took over the clubhouse. Yeah. It was those guys, and it was Cal Raleigh leading the postseason charge, and that I think that veteran presence can't be overstated, especially with how young of a core the Reds have. Obviously, surrounding Ellie De La Cruz as the main contributor, but being able to learn from a guy like Gino Suarez, I think that builds the trajectory of an organization to the future, where he can teach a guy like Ellie how to be like Gino in 5 years. I don't think that can be understated. I think it's one of the biggest pickups of the offseason by any team.
Yeah, I think we agree.
Yeah, we're all excited.
Yeah, it was a good day to hear him coming back home. But yeah, again, thank you, Matthew, for all your time. Really appreciate it. We really are looking forward to hearing your calls with Daytona, and I hope that you have a great season this season and going forward for your career. Love to see you one day up here in Cincinnati, maybe calling some games or whatnot, or whatever the future holds. That would be great. But until then, thank you, and we'll hopefully be talking in the future.
Me too. Yeah, thank you guys. Anytime. Happy to come on and talk ball whenever. I'm talking ball regardless. So might as well get some content. But yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And I'm a Reds fan now too. So
part of the family.
Yeah, yep, you can have an AL team and an NL team. It's all good.
Yeah. So. And let me know if you guys ever make it down to Daytona. We'll get you guys some tickets. Come out to a game.
Awesome.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
For sure. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
All right.
Go Tortugas.
Go Tortugas.
That's right.